in presentations. All right, so today what we're going to talk about is transferring your Canvas material to your next class, as well as creating a mini orientation for your summer class. And some questions and thoughts about what to think about including. And I'm going to showcase mine, but I like to be very upfront that mine is mine, and you are welcome to take it if you would like and use it as your own, revise it and edit it as your own, but you should only do what you feel comfortable doing. All right, so let's first chat about transferring the course content on to your next class.
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you. Mark Frontier wants to know, is this being recorded?
It is being recorded, yes, it is. And I will send an announcement ASAP once the video is up on our remote teaching resources site. All right, so I want to share with you that I do have a little video here. It's a very short one, and this pro tip session Google Slideshow will be available for you as well. So you can come back and take a look at that. I will share it at the exact same time. I want to talk to you about transferring course content in Canvas. And depending on what you have made choices about doing for your course content will determine how you're going to transfer it and how much you're going to transfer, etc. So I am going to go to our practice course here. It's called Practice 2020. And if you email me after the session or even during the session, I'll look at it later on, I can invite you to be a student on the Practice 2020 course. It's separate than the remote teaching resources. If I add you here, I would add you as a teacher. And the reason why I do that is so that you can transfer any material over to your own class if you would like to. So I am looking at my Practice 2020 class, and you would be looking at any class that you have. And I would go to Settings. Now I want to showcase also, if I am on the home page, I am going to make all of us smaller so that you can just hear me as opposed to see me, so you can see everything. And Diane, please feel free to interrupt me at any point in time. I also want to tell you that, as always, Zoom slows down everything that we do, so I apologize in advance for the lag time. So I do want to show you that on the front page here, there's a place where you can import information from Commons, and this gives you an idea that you could actually do it from the front page if you wanted to, if you chose Commons. But I would like to go down to Settings here, and I will share with you, those of you who are teaching at more than one institution, I will share with you what I tend to do when I have moved things from one Canvas course or one school to another. Okay, so I am now on Settings, and I got to Settings by going to the bottom of this navigation bar in the actual course. And I will show that you can actually import course content or export course content. I tend to choose to import course content into my new classes just because I like to pick and choose what I want, and I like to be in the class and see how it's set up, but it really, overall, it's not that big of a deal. You can do whatever it is works best for you. I also want to tell you that if there are classes that I want, like I've taught 3 of the same class during the semester, but there's one class that I've gone back over and I've really fixed the materials, that I take a picture of that course number because I never remember those. All right, so I'm going to go to the import course content here, and it will open up in a moment. And as we all know, the fall semester and the spring semester, how those work are very different. So it is a little bit more tricky to transfer something from a spring to a fall in terms of the dates for things being due, etc. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, here I am in importing content, and if you can see, I've actually done all sorts of importing here from various classes over time. I'm going to select copy a Canvas course. I am going to uncheck include the completed course. The reason for that is that I'm not going to transfer everything over, but I want to share with you, even if you wanted to import an entire class over, I still do not choose include the completed course, simply because I do not want to receive all the announcements that I wrote from the past course into this one. Although many times I will go back and I will look at old announcements and I will copy and paste and revise those. So I actually spend quite a bit of time writing really good announcements, and then I will go back and copy and paste from older classes and revise as necessary. But to go back, so I'm taking that check mark off. I am choosing select specific content. Now, if you have due dates on your assignments and you would like Canvas to try to adjust those events and due dates, you can go ahead and choose that. I will share with you that I never put due dates on my assignments on Canvas. Everybody is different. It just happens to be that Lynn does not as well. The reason why I do not like to put due dates on Canvas is because for the years that I did that, I spent hours changing over due dates and events over time. Now, the con against putting due dates on your assignments, there's two cons. The first is that students don't have access to your calendar, and they really do like to have access to the calendar. But once I explain to students why I don't do it and the fact of how to find what's due, and I'm very clear about all of that, they're fine with that. The other reason why I do not like to put due dates on items is that every once in a while, there may be students who I want to allow to turn things in at a different time. I've given them an extension for some sort of reason, and I don't want to have to go in every single time and actually open up an assignment for that. Now, I will share that in terms of assignments, that I can tell when students turn it in. There's a time stamp, and so it's very easy to tell whether students have turned things on time or not. And if you have a very strict policy about turning things on time and there's a specific minute, et cetera, there may be a few assignments here and there that you want to use it for. There's one assignment that I have that uses a due date, and that is a first draft of an essay, so that I can have Canvas assign peer review partners. But beyond that, I have no due dates because I can see it for myself. So I just wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about that and my rationale. I've been using Canvas for over 10 years because the school that I came from adopted it way early on. All right, so I'm gonna select my course, and I'm just going to go down to the remote teaching resources.
Janet?
Yes.
We have a question.
Yes.
From Jennifer. What happens when we do select adjust events and due dates? How does that transfer over?
Well, what's going to happen is it's going to ask you like the first day of the semester, and there may be a few other questions as well. So you can try it. I would, if you actually have events and due dates and you keep everything like week 1 is the same as week 1, et cetera, you might want to choose to do that if all your weeks are how they should be, in terms of like week 1 is the same as week 1, but you're still going to have to go in and adjust some items just because spring and fall are different in terms of the holidays.
Okay, and Tor wants to know, can you expand on the connection between due dates and the calendar?
Okay, so what happens is if you put due dates on your assignments, it automatically populates into their Canvas calendar, and it's a calendar that you have whether you want to have the calendar or not, and then students can just check the calendar to see what's due, and they have their assignments there from all their classes. So it's actually rather useful, although to me, that usefulness is not worth all the extra hours upon hours that I would adjust events and due dates and changing certain things, because I'll move things around based on, you know, how I change things over time.
Janet, this is
Yeah.
Rena. Can I share something?
Absolutely.
I thank you for sharing the perspective. But I have been using calendar and do the adjust events and due dates. I just want to send a friendly reminder to everyone. This year, 2020 is a leap year. And so we may want to be very careful when we transfer the dates, because I got all messed up when I transfer the course from 2019 to 2020. So I gave myself a note for next year: be careful, do not copy the 2020 calendar. Instead, I will copy from 2019, because the leap year has a different number of dates.
Right, right. But yes, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, so now I've chosen my course that I'm going to transfer from, and I'm going to hit import.
Janet?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mark. I was going to read you. Well, there's a comment from Mark that says you can also put in the exact number of days you want to adjust to it, and Excel can easily calculate that even into the leap year.
Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate that.
Janet, I missed the very beginning. How do you come to this import function from Canvas?
All right.
I have Canvas open.
That's fine. I will quickly do it again because it's very fast, and I'll be faster on my discussion here. So you go to settings from the course menu bar, and from settings, it will open up in a minute. You're going to choose import course content, which is over here to the right.
Okay, found it. Thank you.
You are welcome. And you select, I'm just going to show you again, you select one, you select copy a Canvas course. And notice if you're going to, you might want to copy over from 2 or 3 different courses based on what it is you're doing. Maybe you're doing something new. You notice that I have this extra here. It's waiting for the selection, but I can still do it again. I uncheck the include the completed course. I'm going to choose select specific content. I'm going to choose my course. I'm going to go down to the remote teaching resources, and I'm going to hit import. I'm going to go to select content, and you can select everything, but again, avoid selecting announcements. That way you don't have that selected again. I will share that, yes, they offer the rubrics, but the rubrics now are open. So once you have your rubrics put into Canvas, you can easily find your rubrics in any other course. So that's just a little glitch on, it's not necessary. It's repetitive to have that there. So I'm just going to go to assignments, and I'm going to click on an arrow, and clicking on an arrow allows me to choose something that I want to move over. So I am going to bring over a final writing project. Okay, and once I've chosen everything that I would like, I then hit select content. It's in the queue, and because it's only one item, it will be very quick to come over. Now I do want to share that, and so it's now completed, and I will find the assignment in imported assignments, and I want to share with you that if you import your assignments, but you're only importing a few, but you have your weighted grades or you have your assignment groups, you're going to want to move the item that you just brought over and move it into the correct location. Okay? And I'm waiting to see it. I guess it moved somewhere else, but normally it's in imported assignments. All right. I also want to share that if you want to copy over a module or a whole class, I'm going to just start with a module, that you can take go to the 3 dots here, and it'll be a moment before it opens up, because that's how Zoom seems to be. As I'm waiting, I always hear the Jeopardy theme song in my head, even though I don't watch Jeopardy every night. There it is. Okay, so you can go to the entire class, or you can go to a module, and you can go to Share to Commons. And if you decide to share something to Commons so that you can then go grab it from Commons and put it into your Canvas shell in a whole different school, it is very easy to do. You do need to choose public though. And yes, there is a concern that somebody else might find your material, but you can rename it something odd so that nobody would look for it. And it's very easy to just change the name to, I don't know, odd, whatever it is you want to change it to, odd module. You have to do some description. You have to do, it's a good idea to maybe do a hashtag, and I'm just going to put my initials here. They make you choose an image. It doesn't matter what the image is. The image isn't going to come up later on. You can look up something such as tree, and you choose an image. There it is. You put it in undergraduate. Then you want to take your phone and take a picture so that you don't forget where you put it. You take a picture of it, and then you go to the other school and you go to Commons and look for this name, and you'll find it very easily, and then you can upload it to your own Canvas class.
Janet?
Yes.
Flora wants to know, will you be notified if someone in Commons uses your content?
No. No. But you can also get rid of your content if you need to after the fact. But I will tell you, that's what I'm saying. You want to name it. If you're worried about somebody taking your content, then just name it something kind of odd, and then people won't really care.
Mark wants to know, why is there that ME option if you can't use it?
ME. I'm sorry.
Just me.
Oh, because you could use it as a just me if you were like trying to share it to Commons for something else. But I'm sharing that if you are signing up with your Canvas from a different school, you would most likely have a different email address. And so it would be harder to find, meaning it would only allow you to do it if you were signed up with the other email address. It's just about determining who you are.
Next question, I think it's Shanti. Shanti? I'm sorry. You want to go ahead and ask your question?
Sure. So I think I heard you mention that I could go into Commons and delete my module once I import it to another college's Canvas site. But
Yeah.
if I choose not to delete it, it'll just remain in Commons forever?
Yes, but the Commons is so big. I have stuff in Commons that I wouldn't even know where it is. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's huge. Now people, if you are like I found some wonderful things from other people that I've taken a look at. But yes, it would just stay in Commons forever. Yep. But when I'm searching in Commons, I'm searching for something very specific. So it's not usually an issue.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Okay, so like I said, I have a little video here. I'm not going to show it, but if you just wanted to come back and take a look at the shorter video about this, you're more than welcome to.
Janet?
Yes.
Lydia wants to know, can you show how to use Commons if we are not working at other campuses?
Oh, okay, sure. Yes. Let's see. So, I'm going to go to Cerritos College. And sometimes things will show up even if it's not through Canvas, if you're looking something up on Google. All right. And you'll notice I keep a lot of classes on my dashboard. The reason for that is that I like to keep some older classes up there because I like to copy and paste over a little bit more quickly. And it makes it easier for me to do so. So I'm going to go to Remote Teaching Resources.
Another question is, will there be access to this video later in July?
Yes, because it will be in the Remote Teaching Resources Canvas shell. Yes. Okay, so there's, and if you ever wanted to, you could always email me too. It's jmlambert@cerritos.edu. It's also on my session title there. There's an option for you to look at it. So yes, it will absolutely be available. Okay, so I'm on a course and I want to import from Commons. So if I wanted to look something up, and they have featured ones, and this is K-12. There are just so many on here. I couldn't even begin to look. And so let's say I wanted to look up English literature. I can filter most relevant, latest, most favorited, most downloaded, etc. So I can look up English literature, but you can look up anything you want. And people who have shared their materials here, you can take a look at it. Commons is wonderful to get some ideas about how you might actually want to do your particular classes. And then let's say there's something that I wanted. I'm just going to click on one at random. I can import or download, and I can look for a course to upload it to. Now, what you'd want to do is you'd want to open up a random Canvas course, like a sample one, upload it there, and then you could play around with it very easily. So I'm not going to choose anything because I don't want there to be any issues. But you can create a class such as English literature and then decide to upload the entire thing there.
Janet, next question is, what criteria do I use to look up my own imported files / content?
You just go and you use the title of the name of the class of what you called it, or your name, or the hashtag, and you can find it right away. Very easily. That's why I said take a picture of it, so that way you can easily find it. Yeah. All right, so I am going to go back to our session, and I am going to show you that there's just a couple of slides with pictures, just with some reminders here about how to find the information that you want. But I am ready to transition to create a course orientation. Are there any other questions about the first topic before I move on?
Do you not recommend downloading the course to your own computer and then uploading it to a different location?
I just think that wastes an awful lot of space and it's not necessary. I recommend that you create your own Canvas class. And let me do that really quickly. It always takes me a minute to find it though, because I don't do it quite as often. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna go to courses. Moving to courses. Oh, here it is, right on the front, where it says start a new class. You click on start a new class. And you can then call it whatever you want. I will tell you what I did with my classes on Canvas for my face-to-face classes. I have my face-to-face and I have my online. Because I was going to be changing the modules, I made a copy of my original class and I just put it as a sandbox. It's taken a moment to open it up here. Just waiting. You can call it whatever you want and it becomes yours and you create a sample course. And I have several sample courses that I've used to play around with materials so that I can decide what it is I'm going to do and I'm not messing with any class that I'm actually teaching right now or an older class where that it messes up my records. All right, so I am now going to move to the orientation unless there's any more questions. All right, I hope that was helpful. Okay, so I wanted to share a couple of quotations about how important the orientation are. I will go quickly over these, but suffice it to say that writing a good orientation is really important. Having those first 10 hours, that first week is super important for helping students to begin taking your class, as well as letting them know how to do it. They are filled with anxiety, even if they've taken online classes before, because every online teacher is different. And so even if the school itself offers its own overall orientation, which I believe it should do, Cerritos goes back and forth about types of orientations, etc. And so it becomes our responsibility. But even if Cerritos took it over, I think that having your own orientation is really important. And taking that extra time will help students onboard into your classes with much more ease. And it also, the withdrawal rates go down if you have a really good orientation. And so we're going to take a look at this list about what successful online college students do. And this is a list that probably you would say successful face-to-face college students do as well. They stay organized, they find ways to be self-motivated, they're persistent, they're effective time managers, they use the necessary computer skills, they have strong communication skills, they're self-directed, and they speak up if problems arise. Now, we may have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 students who start out that way, and we may have a few students that have several of these, but our job is to try and support students to become this. And a really good orientation is just the beginning to help them do that. So I have a list of questions, and I'm going to actually read them out loud because it's really important for us to be able to help our students. And these are questions for you to answer. And if there was a screen to take a picture of, it would be this one. So, obviously the first question is, how can I help students be successful online? So how can you get students to be like this? Because that's obviously the goal. So that's the main overall arching question. So a question you need to ask yourself is, how long will the orientation be in a semester session, in a summer session? When I teach an 18-week class or even a 15-week class, the orientation is 1 week in my class. And I'm very busy the few days before class starts, and I'm gonna unpack all of these, I promise you, and then I'm gonna show you a sample and unpack more information. But in a semester-long session, whether that's 15 weeks or it is 18 weeks, I use an entire week for orientation. Sometimes students don't join into the class until maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm communicating with them ahead of time about what they need to complete so that I know that they are actually students in the class. For a summer class, my orientation ends on Wednesday night, and I have the first unit open by Tuesday so students can get started. And my messaging to them starts again a few days before the session. I have my orientation open a few days before the session, and some of those students actually get the orientation before the first day of class. You are not required to open up your Canvas course early or let students know it's fine if you decide to wait until day one, but I always like to open it up early so that I'm there to help support students.
Janet, Amy wants to know, what about a 9-week session? What are your thoughts on that?
A 9-week session would probably be the same as like a summer session. 9 weeks, there's a lot that needs to be done in 9 weeks. So I would probably say Wednesday. And usually what I do is I'll tell students that the orientation is due by Wednesday night. And then on Wednesday, I send a little message saying I'm going to allow 24 hours. So if you need, till Thursday night, it will be open, but you should get started ASAP because you need to get done with the other information. I do not let students know that they're going to have that extra time until right before though. So I don't want them thinking in their head that they have till Thursday, way back when the class begins.
So you send out an orientation letter prior to the class?
Yes, I do. Ideally, I send out an orientation email. I have several emails that I send out ahead of time. I send one out about a week ahead of time. If I can't get to that week ahead of time, at least 2 days ahead of time. And then I send out another message, a shorter message. If the week message has gone out, I send another message 2 or 3 days after that where it's shorter and it's welcoming. And that was the one thing I did not put into the Practice 2020 class, but I will actually do that after we get done today because I think they're useful messages. And then I send them a message the day that the class starts. And what's great about announcements is that you can have them written and have them go out anytime you want. You can just delay when they're sent out and you can do all this ahead of time.
Janet?
Hey, Janet.
Yes.
I just wanted to let you know that I'm here.
Hi, Lynn.
I just got here. Hi.
Hi, Lynn. Thank you.
Hi.
Yay, I'm glad you're here. And Diane is here helping me with
it.
Thank you.
I was doing the food bank this morning.
Oh, yeah.
On campus. That's where I was. So I'm just gonna sit here, but if you need me, let me know.
Thank you so much,
is
Diane.
Somebody helping you with the chat?
Yes, Diane is, and she's doing a really good job at interrupting me at the right time. So keep going, Diane. Thank you. Thank you, Lynn. Glad you're here.
Next question is, do you send the messages via email or through Canvas inbox?
Okay, I send them via announcements, but I don't know if you saw a message yesterday that Lynn actually included. And Lynn, you can interrupt as well with tips and ideas and things. But you can actually email your waitlisted students, or you can email your students through Rosters Plus as well. If you have not yet opened up your Canvas shell because you're just not ready for whatever reason, then you can send that message through Rosters Plus. If your Canvas shell is ready to roll and you're up and ready to go, I recommend sending it through an announcement directly on Canvas. All right, so thinking about the orientation length is, like I said, it's important. It's different depending on the length. Now, I will tell you that my orientation, though, does not change, meaning that my orientation, what I do for my week-long class is the same as my 18-week class is the same as what I would do for a 6-week class. It's just that the time is a little bit more compressed. So I do keep that in mind, though. What that means is that first week they might be doing a little less than they might do in a regular 18-week class. And in the 6-week class, it's actually just right about the right amount of time. All right, so other questions for you to think about, and then I'm going to be illustrating in my sample orientation, is how can I welcome students into my class? How can I not add to the anxiety that students may already be feeling by taking most, if not all, their classes online? And the anxiety a lot of time is connected to how we set up our course and how we onboard them into the course and make them feel welcome. So I will share with you, and I was talking with Lynn about this on Monday, that I have used an orientation, and every semester I improve it. And the one that I'm going to be showing you is even more improved. And every single time I go through it, I look for ways to make everything more similar for students and to make it really easy for them so that they feel at ease, because it's not just my tone, but it's also how I set up my activities. And so if you want to go back to the pro tips on the remote teaching resources and look at the effective lessons, I highly recommend doing that as well, because that was a good session about how to keep it simple, use the same language throughout, try and make a choice about how you're going to have assignments look and that sort of thing.
Janet?
Yes.
Do you change your homepage each week?
I do not change my homepage each week. That's a great question. I change my homepage. I have an orientation homepage, and then I change my homepage for each unit. So I have different homepages for each unit, not each week. Now, if you do 1 unit per week, that might mean that you're changing your homepage each week. Lynn, what do you do, Lynn?
Yeah, Lynn.
I use the same homepage for the entire 6 weeks, especially for 6 weeks. In an 18-week or 15-week semester, I would change it, you know, by unit. But in a 6-week class, I just have all the units on the homepage so that students can go directly into each unit. So yeah, but I will add to it. Like I will, if there's an announcement I want them to specifically see or something like that, I will add that. Sometimes I'll change an image or something like that to keep it a little fresh. But I want to be able to give students the access point from the homepage to the material, as well as from a module or assignment or whatever.
Yes, and I will share with you, and you'll see this as well, is that I use modules in a slightly different way than Lynn does. And so I do link my module, whatever unit is, onto that home page. So it's always there.
Lynn and Janet, what do you mean when you say assignment versus module? Can you?
A module, let me show you here. So I'm going to show you my sample orientation module in just a moment. So this is a whole module that has several things in it, whereas right here, here's an assignment, here's another assignment, here's another assignment. So those are individual items within my module. Lynn has, and Lynn, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Lynn has her assignments linked to that front page. And then students can also go to the module and find them there. But I use the modules very actively in terms of introducing assignments.
You were saying
yeah,
units,
I have.
Do you mean units are the same as module, or are you talking about something different?
I have 1 module per unit. So beyond the orientation, I usually have 4 to 5 other units. And so when I'm talking about unit, I'm talking about pedagogically. So if I'm teaching a lit class, I'll have a unit on poetry, and then another unit on the short story, and then another unit on the drama, etc. So like a textbook has different units.
All right, thank you for that clarification. I'm in graphic multimedia and photography, so that I would say something different. So thank you for clarifying.
Yes. Thank you for asking about the verbiage, because I know I'm different people use different words. Yes. Lynn, what were you going to say?
I was going to say that I want my students to access the assignments through the module or through the front page or through some lesson. And the lessons make up the unit. So it can be videos, it can be discussion boards, it can be all of those things that create a unit. And then those get lumped into a module. I think, Janet, you probably have those in your sample course so you can show people.
Right.
Yeah.
The
reason for that is because a lot of times students will go directly to the assignment if the assignment is linked, and they'll just go directly to the assignment. And unless you have all of the information that you need them to know built into that assignment, and you can look at the effective assignments is another pro tip that we did. If they are not getting all of the lessons that they need and they go and they attempt to do the assignment without having been through your entire lesson, they may not get it right. So I want to try and manipulate the navigation so that they go through the whole lesson before they attempt the assignment. And Janet does that same thing.
Yes, and in fact, I'm in the process, I'm looking down at I have a sample unit here that I used last semester, and it has certain pages here. If you look at my orientation, which you'll have an opportunity to if you decide you want to join, and I'm going to show you the orientation as well, you'll notice that I don't have any lingering pages here. Everything that they need for the assignment is linked into the assignment, all the content that they need. So that's actually something that I just changed this semester, and 90% of the time I'm going to still do that particular way so that they don't skip the important information.
Janet?
Yes.
Rena wants to know if you can show how you post each unit as a home page.
If I can, okay, say that one more. Post each unit as a home page.
Rena, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I missed that part. You said when you had 4 to 5 units, you would put the current unit on the home page. Is it what you, could you show us what you how it works?
Yes. So I have I'm just going to show you just the sample homepage on the Practice 2020 here. And this just says a sample homepage for a unit. And I'm probably even going to go in and change this because I'm constantly changing things. But this is, I called it sample homepage for you guys. I don't do that for my students. And I have a link directly to the module. I have navigating writing projects. I have a video here. I have the key questions for the writing project. I have Zoom information for them here. And then I have links to previous units. And so my home page changes each time, but what's included in the home page stays the same.
Wow. How did you post all these on the home page? Is there a button that we...
In fact, I'm actually going to be working, like I said, I'm constantly reinventing. You can go to edit.
Okay.
And then what happens on edit, and then I'm going to move back because I really want to show you my orientation. I'm kind of happy about that. But whenever you have a page or an assignment that you have all these choices here, but you also have choices right here. So you can link to pages, assignments, quizzes, all of this. And I use this quite a lot. So if you put a quiz on the front page, you just open this up and then you can look and see what's here and put that on the front page. So that's how I did it.
Got it.
Even
Thank you so much.
Announcements. Oh yeah, that's what we're here for. That
Janet?
Yes.
Mark wants to know, so do you have prerequisites?
Okay. I have done prerequisites before, and if I use prerequisites, then I let students know, but I really try not to use prerequisites as a general rule. That's why I've made everything that they need in the actual assignment so that I don't have to do that, because when prerequisites are there, students don't know why they can't open up the next part. And I will tell you that as a student, and I take classes all the time, every year I'm taking a class here and there and everywhere. I like to see what's ahead. I'm one of those people. And so I'm okay if the students come and they click onto something else. Now, I do advise them, you know, to go through it in order, but if they don't go through it in order, they're going to be okay. But you can choose to do that. You know, you can absolutely, I'm going to edit. You can add the prerequisites here if you want to, where they have to move through one item at a time, or you can add a requirement.
Can I add something about the requirements?
Yes.
So what's really fun to do with the requirements is to get them to, you can have them just view whatever the requirement is, or you can have them mark as done. So if you click on add requirement, you can pick any page that's in there, and then there's a drop down menu that says view the item. And if you go on that drop down menu, you can put mark as done. And when they open the page, there's a place for them to do a check mark that they finished it. Then when they go back to the modules page, they can see every single thing that they have opened, that they have looked at, and they have completed. And when I took an online class and that feature was used, it just made it so much easier. I could tell when there were parts of a module that I had missed, or parts of the section, the unit, the assignment, however you want to call whatever it is that you're doing. I love this feature, mark as done. It works great in modules. That's
fantastic. And that's a different, like, I guess when I was thinking of requirements, I was thinking about students must move through the requirements in sequential order. So I'm really glad you brought that up, Lynn, because that's a different item. And I think that's a fantastic tip that I'm now going to use. So thank you. All right.
Janet?
Yes.
Jennifer Palma wants to know, is it possible that a student marks it as done, even if they have not completed the assignment correctly?
That would be Lynn. Lynn, it's marked as done when they submit something, correct?
No, they can mark done that they have viewed the page. It doesn't necessarily, or that they have read through the page. They've opened it and they've read through whatever is there in the module. It doesn't mean that they have submitted the assignment. So it's just a matter of helping them to recognize whether or not they have gone through all of the things that they need to do in order to complete whatever that task is that you've put there for them.
So it's incentive, or at least you're putting them in the right direction to finishing and viewing before they do the assignment, like you were talking about before, but you're not hindering them at the same time.
That's correct. Yeah. Right. It's really, it's more, I love a checklist. I mean, I don't know about you guys,
you're gonna see it, Lynn. You're gonna see it.
If I can check it off that I finished it, that just, I love it when there's all those green check marks there. It just looks really good. So.
All right, fantastic. And you'll see a sample of that too, of Lynn's checklist that I use. Okay, so.
Oh, my real checklist.
Yes, your real checklist. It's there. I want to show them that too. Okay, so how can I engage my students so that they are actually interested and actively participating in the orientation? That's something that you'll be able to see some examples of doing that, so that it's interactive and engaging, and it's not just students and me individually one-on-one. It is students with one another. How can I, these are questions to continue to ask yourselves. How can I communicate my Canvas course organization to my students in a simple way? How can I make sure that students know what is on the syllabus? What tools do my students need to know to be successful in this class? How can I give students low stakes practice so that they can be successful in the class? And how can I help my students to be well organized and good time managers? So I am going to show you my orientation in just a couple of minutes, but I want to finish up with this part of the presentation so I don't lose out on time, because it's going to take a little bit. I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about what is different about a syllabus that is online versus face-to-face. Now I'm going to show you my syllabus, but your syllabus can absolutely be put right into Canvas. And I've used Canvas, but I actually really love my interactive SMORE syllabus here. And I'm going to be going back and forth with it. And I want to remind you that the underlined items here are links to content, some of which you might have seen already in other places. So I create an assignment and a low stakes quiz to make sure students read the syllabus, and you'll see an example of that in just one moment and when I go through the orientation. Include communication expectations. Lynn shared her communication expectations in our remote teaching resources, and I made a copy, and then I included my own communication expectations. I want to take
Janet?
Yes.
I don't know the first name, but L. Blake once says he's never heard of a s'more before. What is that?
S'more is just a way to put together a newsletter, and I use it for my syllabus. So you can look it up. You can also use a Google site. This is just, I like to do an interactive syllabus, and so that's what I use, but you can also use a Canvas site, or you can use the pages on Canvas. All right, so I'm gonna quickly show you. So this was, Lynn had her Let's Connect, and I have different ways for students to connect with me. And so it's really important that you actually have a communication plan. And my communication plan is similar to Lynn's, but I revised it to make it look like mine, what I really do, how often I'm sending announcements, what they will be about, how I will communicate about grading. And if you've not seen this yet, again, you'll have access to this, and it's also in our remote teaching resources site. It's there in several different ways. But a communication plan is really important for students to understand when they expect to have communication from you, because they're going to be having a lot of classes that are online, and they're going to have to, be able to juggle all of that. An online syllabus should include a statement about using Google Chrome or Firefox browsers in Canvas instead of Explorer or Safari. So I have a place on my syllabus. It's just a little note that says that this is what it is they need to use. If they need to use these browsers so that they can turn in assignments and not glitch. I give the ISBN for textbooks. So here students click on and they can see the ISBN for the textbook, because they're not able to see the textbooks in person. That's extremely important. Be clear about your late policy. What time are assignments due? Do assignments close? Those types of things. On my late policy, which you can take a look at a little later on if you would like, I'm very clear about the fact that I don't have due dates on the assignments themselves, but what I expect from them. And every teacher is a little bit different, so it's really important that you're clear about what you expect. I share netiquette guidelines. I share a page about the outside apps or tools that I expect them to use besides Canvas. And I also clarify the role of the instructor, like what I see my role as in supporting them.
Janet?
Yes.
Do you put any time frames, like if somebody emails you or asks you a question at 10 p.m., like what time you get back to them, you accept?
Yes, I do. I in my communication guidelines, it says within 24 hours. I do tell them, if you on my syllabus, that I answer email Monday through Friday within 24 hours unless otherwise noted. Please send a second note if I don't respond. When I speak to them in their first Zoom session, and I tend to do one Zoom during orientation and then one Zoom for each unit, I do share with them that I ask that they keep the communication to the weekdays unless it's an emergency, because that we all deserve to have an email-less weekend, and sometimes emails get lost if they're sent to me on the weekend. So students are pretty good about keeping to the weekdays because I explain it in that way, in a way that's not offensive to them, but also lets them know that I need to have a little bit of downtime. Of course, if there's an emergency, then of course they should email me. Okay, and then we're now going to see a sample orientation module. This is not in the remote teaching resources site. This is in the Practice 2020 course. So again, if you would like to be added to the course as a teacher, not as a student, there's a difference. That's why it's in a separate course. If you're added as the teacher, then you can move it to your own dashboard and use it and change it and that sort of thing if you would like to. So you can email me at janetmlambert@cerritos.edu. Okay, so I am now back in the practice courses and I have sample orientation. Let's get acquainted and learn about the course. This says week 1, but if I was doing this for the summer, I would put in parentheses Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just so that they can see it. It's right here. They know exactly what you expect. And on the home page, having that unit there, I would say, please complete by, and then I would tell them Wednesday. All right, so I have an orientation roadmap. Every unit that I begin with has a roadmap for students to begin with. And I have a welcome video here, which I am not going to play for you now, but you are welcome to take a look at it. It's nice for them to be able to see your face, see you talking. I have the transcripts here, although the video is also captioned. What I did is I used the YouTube captions and then automatic captions, and then I go back and edit those. You could also decide to use Studio and create your video there as well. So I explain a little bit about the beginning and I'm welcoming them. I'm trying to get them to feel comfortable. And I have a planning your time. And I start with a weekly checklist here, which I'm going to show you. And I have this box here, which says at the end of each page, you can click next, which is what we're going to do. But it's a little reminder for them. So this roadmap, I have, like I said, I have a roadmap every single time. And the roadmap is going to introduce them to the materials. I want to take a moment to show you this weekly checklist. And this checklist is adapted from Lynn's checklist. She had talked to me about this way back in February at a teaching conference we were at. It had nothing to do with being online. And so when we decided as a campus to go online, I took it and I made it a Google Doc, and I used it in one class, and I got some feedback from students about whether they liked it or not, and they absolutely did. And what it is that students make a copy of this, and I have the activity here. Excuse me. I have the activity, and I have it color-coded for summer. Because it would end on Wednesdays, I would actually change this all to blue. And up here, I would put summer weekly checklist 1, just to let me know. For an 18-week semester, all of this would be due on Friday. And I like to use the color coding so that students know what's due on which day. And they do the activities, and I give them an estimate of time. They have a plan of when they're going to do it, and then a time and place, etc., time they really spent, and they check this off. And what happens is, as you will see, I'm going to go back to the module. I introduce this in the roadmap, but the last thing that they're going to see is that they are going to turn in that roadmap. And I asked students if they felt that it was useful, and they said yes, because they printed it out and they marked it up, and then that way they didn't miss anything. So the very last item in my orientation, and this is my last item in every single module that I have a "you completed the orientation" or "you completed the unit, congratulations." And my page looks very similar, just the information inside is a little bit different. So it will have the weekly checklist. I have this little GIF of, the dancing on Snoopy. I have, before you go, make sure you do this. And then finally, please turn in your weekly checklist number 1 here. Okay, and I want to showcase to you that I have instructions about helping students submit assignments, as well as how to respond in discussion forums. You can always go to help to get help about how to do something in particular, but I find having it in the actual assignment itself is very helpful to students.
Janet?
Yes.
Nancy wants to know, are you able to see when students have checked off an assignment?
Only when they turn it in. The checklist, no, I will not be able to see that they've checked it off, no.
Okay.
Only when they turn it in, and when they turn it in, then I can see that they did it.
Can I just add a little bit about that checklist?
Absolutely.
The reason why I developed the checklist was because I've been teaching my classes as hybrids for a long time, and my students would wait until the day that they met me face-to-face to start doing the work for the class. So if I had a Thursday class, they would just disregard Monday through Wednesday as something that they didn't have to do. So, and then they would do the entire class between Thursday and Sunday, if that makes sense. So the checklist was given to them. And in an online class, you could just send it in an announcement every week or put it in the module, however you want to do it, as Janet's describing. But the purpose of the checklist is to get the students to understand that they get to decide when they want to do the things that are required for the week. There's that second column where it asks them to project when they're going to do it. And then, with most of us, we don't always do things when they say we're going to do them, but then we can put them on when they complete it, then they can do the actual. It helps them to understand how much time it's going to take them to do things like this. Using the approximate estimated time to do the activities, I always make sure to let them know that that is an approximation. It may take them less time, it may take them more. But it's just to give them a guideline of how how they will need to approach the suggestions and the assignments for the week. I think it's a really good tool, and they absolutely love it. And I would also recommend that you give them credit for turning it in.
Absolutely.
Little tiny low stakes credit.
Janet, Lynn, there's another question. How might you adjust the checklist or other activities if your class enrollment is 60 plus?
Well, the way I would still do the checklist, but the way that I would grade it is I would use default grading, where if they completed it, they turned it in, they would just get credit. I would not go through and check. I mean, I might look at the first ones to make sure that they're doing it, but I would still have them do it and just give them credit for turning it in. I wouldn't tell them you're not looking at it, but I would use default grading. And I will show you what a default grading really quickly looks like. So yes, I would still do it. With 60 plus, I would still absolutely do it.
Yeah, I would also recommend that you do the default grading on that. You don't even need to go to the speed grader. You could just, get them in the habit of turning it in. If they are uploading it and turning it in, they've at least looked at it and they at least know what it is they're supposed to be doing for your class. So I think it's a good tool.
Right.
It's a lot if you have 60 plus, that it's different. But you can adapt and make it work for you.
Right. And I will tell you, with low stakes assignments, we're talking about the assignments. I have found, even when I do spot checks, that I go in and I take a look that students still do them, you know, even if it's just a spot check. But I wanted to show you just quickly default grades, and then I want to get back to showing you the module, and I want to show you the overall part of it. But if you go to set default grade here, you can put 10 points or whatever it is it's worth, set the default grade, and it grades them all, every single one. So you only do it one time. So that low stake assignment is actually very easy. It'll take you 15 seconds to grade. And once you actually have the weekly checklist, then you're set. I have one that I created that I call template, and then every week I use the template and I put the items in. And once I have the items in, for the next semester, all I have to do is sort of adjust based on what it is I'm doing.
Janet, Bethany saying, do you have opinions about assignments being due on Friday, Saturday, or Sundays during the summer, since it's an online class and they can technically turn in assignments anytime?
Okay, no, yes, I do have opinions about it. I think that you should have students turn things in when it is best for you. I recommend, some teachers say just 1 day a week. I recommend 2 days a week. I've always chosen on Wednesdays and Fridays. That's what I've chosen. The reason why I choose Wednesdays and Fridays is because I like to be able to start the week talking about the materials and giving them some time to do it. But whatever due date I give them, I make it very consistent. I do have high stakes assignments, like the final project, due on Sundays, and only on that particular project is something due on Sunday night. So yes, I do think that having very specific regular due dates for things to be due are really important. I like the 2 days so that students don't turn in assignments all in, try to do them all in one day. That requires them to do that. And it also makes it easier for me to go in and give them credit. With online classes, especially at the very beginning, I try to go in, if something is due on Wednesday, I go in and grade it on Thursday so that students see that I mean business about when things are due.
Okay, another question. Default grade automatically assigns the same grade to all students who submit anything?
That's correct, but you have to do it on a particular assignment. So what I do is, if students haven't turned something in, I mark in all the zeros, and then I put the default grading to the 10 points or 5 points or whatever it is you're going to give it. And everything that is not already populated with a number gets turned in with those 10 points. And I also can send, in that same place where there was the default grading, I can also message students. And in the orientation, I am going to do that one more time because I want you to see it, but I want to be able to get back as well. This is really important. If you have certain assignments due by Wednesday, every single orientation assignment, let's say it's due on Wednesday, and you've already, introduced yourself on Monday and you've sent your announcement. On Wednesday, what I would do is I would send messages for every assignment that's due on Wednesday. I would send a message reminding students who didn't do it to please turn it in, just a friendly reminder. I do that for the first couple, 2-3 weeks, and I'll show you what that looks like. So you can message students who, and you can choose whatever group. Haven't submitted yet, scored more than, scored less than, less than, more than. It doesn't matter. You just choose, the group you want to send messages to. And sometimes I send messages to the ones who turned it in early and did a great job, and give them feedback this way. But let's say I'm going to send messages to students who haven't turned it in yet. I take off the no submission because it's not due yet. But I write this is a friendly reminder that this is, that this is due tonight. And students really appreciate that, especially at the very beginning of a class and in the orientation. They appreciate it very, very much. And then what I would do on Thursday, let's say your items are due on Wednesday, I was telling you that I would give that 24 hours extra. I would say this is a friendly reminder that this was due last night, that you may have until tonight to turn this in. This isn't going to be a regular occurrence, you know, yada, yada, yada. And the students get these as individual messages, and they think that you have taken the time just to write a message to them. And I get some thank you notes on that. Yes, thank you. Oh, thank you for reminding me. I really appreciate that. That's really helpful.
Janet, so if a student doesn't submit on time, when you set the default grading, what will this student get? A 0?
They will get a 0, but then what will happen is that for, like I said, for that first set of assignments for the orientation, and I actually do this for the first couple of weeks of class, I send a message that day to the students who've received 0s, and I'll say, this is a friendly reminder that this was due last night, and I want to make sure you're getting comfortable with the rhythm of our class. I will give you until tonight to turn this in for credit. I do that at the beginning just to get students onboarded into the class and help them understand. And then I end up sending a message, part of my welcome announcement for the week, stating what we're going to do. I then put on there, okay, so for the first couple of weeks, I have accepted a few late assignments. That's not going to be happening anymore. So it's really important that you understand that these items are due at this particular time.
Janet, where do the replies to those type of messages go? Your Canvas inbox?
Yes. Well, you know, my Canvas and my email are all connected together. So yes, they go into your Canvas inbox, but mine also come to my Outlook. They come as the non-focused messages. All right, so I want to get us back because I really want to be able to show you the rest of the orientation here. So I wanted to show you an overview. I started off with the roadmap. I have a scavenger hunt that I have students do, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. But I include the syllabus. I have my calendar of due dates. This is an old one, so this is not one for the for every class that I do. It's just a sample there. And then I have the activities, and the activities are referenced in the scavenger hunt. I have syllabus notes. I have a Google form questionnaire. And now I'm having them practice a couple of tools that I'm going to have them use in the class. I have them set their Canvas notifications so that they get push notifications from me. And I will go through this with you. I just want to showcase this to you. I have a Padlet, which is another tool that I'm using. I have them check out the Canvas guides and look at things on Canvas, things that they don't know how to use, and learn how to use them and share them with their peers. And it also introduces them to the discussion forum. I have a time management strategies discussion forum. And then I have a syllabus quiz, a scavenger hunt quiz, and then they've completed the orientation. This is where they turn in their weekly checklist. Okay, so I would like to show you my scavenger hunt for them, which takes them through these activities. And I also will tell you that during the orientation, when I have a Zoom session with them, I record the Zoom session, but I also, when I'm showing them a few things about, even though they have the videos and they have the tutorials about submitting assignments and such, I actually say, if you're not on your phone and you're on a tablet or a computer, can you please videotape me turning in an assignment, videotape me responding to a discussion forum, and then they can take a look at that short 15-second, 20-second video if they need reminders.
Janet, I think I want to take your class.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I wish I could get my children to say the same thing. Okay. My scavenger hunt is taking a moment here. I'll check it out one more time. Let's see if it's ready to go. Zoom makes everything so slow. It's a little quicker in here. So I have different slides here explaining what I do in my class, and I really want to get onto it so that you can see it, because there's a slide I want to show you in particular. But there we go. Okay, so I do start out here with what is both a serious frustration and the biggest barrier to success, right? And that's not knowing how to learn how to navigate the course. So I invite them to scan the slides and then go back and complete in order. And I have, first things first, I explained the activity details, but I want to show you, I'm explaining to them what our Canvas structure is and what they can expect. And I'm showcasing the different banners that they're going to look at and see. Pardon? I'm sorry?
No, nothing here.
Oh, okay, all right. And I also want to showcase that I have community ground rules, online attendance policy, and the late policy. And you might notice that I have things noted in more than one place. You want to do that because students come in and see things at different times, so you want to make sure that they see them. I'm getting, telling them that you need to look at the announcements, and then I start with the activities, and all the activities are here. I try to be a little bit funny. Most people think I'm a little corny or odd, but I try to be funny, and then I tell them when they're ready to take the quizzes. Now I'm going to quickly go through and showcase here the fact that I have gone through this orientation several times to make sure that the way that I put my assignments together, that they can understand that this is the way I do it. Every teacher is different, but I want them to see some unity. I want it to be simple and yet helpful. I keep my calendar separate from my syllabus, although it is linked in my syllabus. So you'll see the syllabus notes here, the activity number 1, the banner is going to show up in a minute. I'm asking them to take notes on my syllabus, and I'm asking them to come up with some notes about these particular topics that are located right in my syllabus, so that I make sure that they've actually done what they've needed to do, and I tell them now you should be ready to take the syllabus quiz after having done that assignment. I have them do a Google form questionnaire. The questionnaire is about me understanding them and any specific things, any specific questions that they might have for me, information about what they want to be called, any issues that I may need to respond to. And I actually use the information from this form to help me put together an announcement to them responding to any specific questions that they might have. And again, every single assignment includes this reminder, here's Canvas and how to submit online assignments. I'm wanting them to learn how to do an outside tool, so I share with them how to participate. And when I use an outside tool, my rule is always that they have to come back to Canvas and note that they've participated. And then I can also, I'm notified on Flipgrid anyway. And that's a different tool that I use. If you're interested, you can take a look at that particular tool. That's not important here. What's important is that I'm giving them an opportunity to use these tools, and Flipgrid gives them an opportunity to introduce themselves to their peers, which is a really important thing for them to be able to do in an orientation. I use VoiceThread, and again, I tell them what it is they need to do. I share with them how to do it, and then they need to submit once they've completed it. So I'm taking them through this entire orientation. These are items that I need them to do. Setting the notifications is really important so that they're actually getting notifications from not just me, but from all the teachers that they're taking. And I want to know that they have set their notifications. Now I do start off with, if you've already set up a profile with push notifications, just submit your assignment. You don't have to go through the whole thing if you don't need it. And again, I know I'm going through these rather quickly, but if you would like to join the Practice 2020, you can come back and take a look and really take your time looking at it. I have an activity for Padlet. It's a wall that I use. It's an interactive social media sort of wall. And so I want them to be able to use it because we use Padlet every single time. We use Flipgrid every time. We use VoiceThread. So I use different tools in my class. So I want them to get comfortable using them. And I want them to be interacting with one another so that by the time we get to the content, they can focus in on the content as opposed to learning how to use the tool. And I find students have very little trouble with these tools, even my students who have some problems with the technology. I will share with you that even before this pandemic, in all my face-to-face classes, I use technology because I see it as an equity issue. And I think it is really important for students to be able to know how to use the technology so that they, their anxiety level goes down and they can actually be rather creative. I, again, want them to understand how to get help if they need it. So I have them check out the Canvas guides, and this also gives them an opportunity to practice using discussion forum. I have my time management strategies discussion forum. And this one is one that you may really want to check out closely. I have time management strategies, and there are articles on this page, and I want them to come back and share what they've learned from a couple of the articles. I want them to read what their peers are stating and add ideas they think would also work. And then I want them to look at the time management considerations and note what kind of plan they're thinking about. So this actually connects with the weekly checklist because it gets them to think about when they're planning on doing their particular work, if this comes up. So I have them, you know, they've already read a couple of the articles, and I want them to think about what kind of person they are. And so I've shared 3 different scenarios here. They're visuals, they're just slow to come up. Here we go. About 3 different types of students and when they tend to finish their assignments online and what works for them. And they're different scenarios based on people who work, who have kids, who take classes online, so that they can take a look and figure out what's best for them. And then we're going to get to the quizzes. And both the quizzes are here. And then we end again with that weekly checklist. Congratulations, you've completed it. Good for you. So I will share with you that I find that after the first week, I ask students how they felt the orientation was and try to figure out if there's things that didn't get answered, and every single time they give me information that helps me determine what I need to do the next time, and I fix it right then so that it's ready to go for the next semester.
Janet?
Yes.
Well, will the sample orientation module and all those resources to orientate the students be available on this Practice 2020?
Yes, that's where it's at. It's not going to be on the remote teaching resources because you are all students. And so if you would like to join my Practice 2020 class, you can go ahead and do that. And yes, all the resources are here. You have the opportunity to look really closely at the orientation and decide if you want to use the materials that I've created and just change them to make them your own, and do whatever it is you would like to do. So everything that I've shown you today is available on this Practice 2020. Lynn, would you like to end with anything or share anything?
That was great. I mean, you got a lot of stuff in there. I just want to point out that that Practice 2020 site would be good for you to navigate around and sort of see how it is that you can build your own orientation, and to recognize that you got to make it work for you and the students that you have. You know, you know, Janet uses a lot of outside tools, which are great. Padlet's awesome. Flipgrid's awesome. But you can replicate a lot of the things that those tools do in Canvas. They can do media comments in Canvas. They can do embedded video and things like that in Canvas. So all of that is, you know, you just got to mess around with it. And one thing that I also want to point out is to create a class like what Janet's got with all of the banners and the, I'm echoing, and I'm not sure.
You're fine now.
It just takes a lot of hours. So just be prepared to spend a lot of hours to build it, but it's worth it. Totally worth it, because it makes it engaging for your students, which is the #1 thing that you want to happen in your online class.
Janet, the question was how to join this Practice 2020 class.
Send me an email, and then I will invite you.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, Janet. Should we send you email, you know, directly, or should we just leave the email address here?
Yeah. No. Please send it directly.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
And one more question: can you give me a little bit more information about Padlet? I never used it.
Okay. Yes, I can, but I do want to share with, I will stay and do Padlet. If anyone wants to continue to stay to learn about Padlet, you are more than welcome to, but if you are done, it's now 3:30 and need to go. It doesn't hurt my feelings. So, you know, an hour and a half is a long time, and you've probably been online before now as well. So thank you. I just want to thank everybody for coming. I really appreciate it, and I hope that this was useful. And send me an email, and I will attempt to invite you to Practice 2020 by no later than noon tomorrow. So if you send that to me, and if you don't get your invite by noon tomorrow, then send me another email, because maybe I copied it and missed a letter or something of your email.
Thank you.
This was really great, Janet. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming, and I thank you for adding. That it's always better when we're together.
It is better. I have really enjoyed doing these pro tips. I hope we get to do them over the summer, because there's a lot of people here even today during finals week. So we really appreciate you all joining with us. Thank you.
And you're welcome to stay while I show Padlet, but you don't have to if you don't want to. All right, so, and I will tell you some story about these different tools that I heard about Padlet for probably 3 or 4 years before I actually did it. So sometimes it takes seeing it a few times before you decide to do it. And I will share that I also, with the tools that I give, I have very specific uses for each of the tools, and I try to keep it pretty consistent throughout my class. So for example, with Padlet, a lot of what I tend to do centers around quotations that students might use in their writing projects. So I have a Padlet #1, and I tend to get rid of responses after a while. So we'll see if this has any. This was the Padlet in the orientation. It's a wall where students can share their work, and they can also respond back to one another. So this is a scavenger hunt activity number 5. Share a quote from something you've read or seen recently that represents you.
So it's a good tool for brainstorming, correct?
It's a wonderful tool for brainstorming.
That's what I like. Thank you.
I love it because it's a wall. And you know what else it's a wonderful tool for? It's a wonderful tool for visuals as well. It's a wonderful tool for linking videos. And one of the things you can do in this first one, I just asked them to share a quotation that represents them, and then I choose a few and I highlight those in an announcement to students, the one that I send for week 2, just to let them know that I hear them and see them, and I try to use examples from them in regular announcements down, you know, as we go through. I thank students, I'll thank them directly using their name if they've, you know, in an announcement, so that they see that I care about their voices. But you can use this also for having students respond as well. But like I said, the rule with Padlet is that they have to go back to Canvas, and I have the link to Padlet right in the assignment. That's, you know, that's right in the assignment, and then they have to go back and say that they responded. And I either have them note the date they responded, or I have them copy and paste what they shared. So that I can, and then I use the default grade every time, you know, because these activities are for them. They're not about perfection. So I have all sorts of Padlets, and I'm going to continue to create more. And you can continue. You can even, you know, make copies of different ones. But I have all sorts of, you know. Here's one that I did where I said, click on the pink plus located in the lower right hand corner. So sometimes I put the instructions in as a little reminder. That's awesome. So that's Padlet, and it's very easy. I'll show you how to make one. Plus, and you can put any visual you want. That wisdom wall one, I put myself. You can choose any sort of way of doing it. You can even do a little timeline here, which is kind of cool, or a map. You know, you can do all sorts of different ones. I'm just going to select the wall. And we always have to wait for Zoom. Gotta love it. And it just starts out, and it'll start you out with anything. You put your title, you put your description, you can add an icon, you can change the appearance, you can change the color scheme, excuse me. You can make them say who it's from. I usually have them just put their names in. You can say, is it going to be the first post that's there or the last one? You know, where do they post? So like if you want to put the last post, you can. If you want them just to be in order, and so the people who started first stay on top. You can allow for comments. You can allow for reactions. You can even filter the content, although I never do that. I've not had an issue with it, but if you do, or if you have an issue with profanity, and students tend to do that,
right?
You know, you can put that in. I've not had an issue with it, but if you do, you can do that. And I'm just gonna hit next. I'm not gonna change anything, and we can start posting, and you hit the plus here, and you can go back and you can share it. You can edit it. See what the more is.
Yeah.
You can export, you can modify, you can print, you can clear posts. I do that quite a bit. You can archive, delete, remake. I do that a lot too. So.
Thank you so much. That was very helpful. Appreciate it.
You are more than welcome. All right.
Sorry for keeping you.
No, so that's okay. Any other questions?
So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody coming. Thank you so much.
Janet, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have a service where I can pay you to do my stuff? It's so impressive.
Well, if you send me your email,
Amazing.
You can go on 2020 and you can revise what I have there for the orientation.
You've done a great job with so much work. I'm sure the students appreciate it.